I used to believe that laughter was the glue that held a marriage together. That if two people could joke around, pull harmless pranks on each other, and still go to bed smiling, then they were solid. That was before I learned the hard way that not all jokes are innocent. Some cut deep, some leave scars, and some destroy everything you thought was real. If you had asked me a week ago, I would have said my wife, Emily, was my best friend, my partner in crime. We had been married for 6 years, and while life wasn't perfect, we were happy, or so I thought. She had always been the playful one, the kind of person who would replace my shampoo with mayonnaise just to see my reaction or sneak a fake spider into my shoe for a morning shock. I played along. I laughed. I never took it too seriously. Until last weekend. We had been invited to a friend's birthday party, nothing fancy, just a small gathering at a bar downtown. Emily was excited because she said she had something fun planned for the night. I assumed it was another one of her little tricks. Maybe she was going to put fake lottery tickets in the birthday cards or pretend to spill a drink on someone. Whatever it was, I figured it would be harmless. I had no idea. That night, Emily looked incredible. She wore a black dress that hugged her curves, her blonde hair curled in soft waves. She always knew how to turn heads, and I felt lucky to be the guy at her side. We laughed, we drank, we talked with friends. Everything was perfect. Then, somewhere around midnight, Emily whispered in my ear, "Are you ready for the surprise?" I should have known better. She clinked her glass and got everyone's attention. "I have a confession to make," she announced with a grin. The room went quiet, and I turned toward her. My stomach tightened. She reached for my hand, squeezing it. "I did something crazy," she continued, "but I promise you're going to love it." Then she turned to the crowd. "So, who wants to see the video?" Laughter erupted around us. People started pulling out their phones. My heart pounded in my chest. What was she talking about? A video? What kind of prank was this? Before I could ask, she grabbed the remote for the TV mounted on the wall behind the bar. "Just watch," she said, winking at me. The screen flickered to life. And then, my world fell apart. I stood in the middle of the bar, completely frozen, my mind struggling to catch up with what was happening. Laughter erupted around me, a mix of genuine amusement and awkward chuckles, as people pulled out their phones to record whatever Emily had planned. I looked around, scanning the faces of our friends, trying to gauge if anyone else was as confused as I was. Some of them had wide grins, waiting for the punchline. Others seemed uncertain, exchanging glances as if they weren't sure whether they should be laughing or not. Then Emily turned toward the large screen behind the bar and grabbed the remote. "All right, everyone," she called out, her voice bubbling with excitement. "I have something special to show you all." My stomach clenched. She was still holding my hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze, as if I was supposed to be in on the joke. But I wasn't. And that was the first sign that something was seriously wrong. The screen flickered to life. At first, the video didn't seem alarming, just a shot of a hotel room, dimly lit, with a bottle of champagne sitting on the nightstand. Then the camera panned, and my heart stopped. Emily. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, her blonde hair cascading over her shoulders, holding a glass of champagne and smiling at the camera. The room was too intimate, too carefully arranged to be anything innocent. A nervous murmur ran through the crowd. The laughter softened, replaced by hushed whispers and exchanged glances. The tension in the air shifted, and even the bartender, who had been casually wiping glasses, paused to watch. My pulse pounded in my ears as I turned to Emily. "What is this?" My voice barely came out. She grinned. "Just wait," she said, nudging me playfully. "It's hilarious." I looked back at the screen just in time to see a man step into the frame. I didn't recognize him, not at first. He was tall, dressed in a crisp button-up, his back to the camera as he approached Emily. She looked up at him, that same teasing smile on her lips, and whispered something I couldn't hear. The laughter around us had completely died. Someone in the crowd muttered, "Is this real?" My hands clenched into fists. Emily turned toward me again, still smiling, still acting like this was nothing more than a game. I felt dizzy, like the ground beneath me was shifting. The Emily in the video clinked glasses with the man, tilting her head flirtatiously. And then the screen cut to black. The room was silent. For a moment, it felt like time had stopped. Then, a nervous chuckle. A voice, one of our friends, breaking the silence. What was that?" Emily finally spoke, her tone light and amused. "Come on, guys. It was a prank." She turned to me, laughing like it was the funniest thing in the world. "Babe, you should see your face." I just stared at her. A prank? This was a prank? I turned back to the screen, half expecting the video to restart, half expecting some kind of explanation to appear. But nothing. Just a black screen and the weight of 100 eyes on me. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. "Emily," I said slowly, forcing my voice to stay level, "tell me that was fake." She rolled her eyes, playfully slapping my arm. "Of course it was. You don't think I'd actually do something like that, do you?" She laughed again, like the very idea was absurd. "It's all staged. Just a joke. I thought it would be funny to see how everyone would react." Funny. She thought this was funny. I couldn't move. My brain felt sluggish, trying to process her words, but nothing made sense. "That wasn't funny," someone muttered from the crowd. Emily's smile faltered slightly. "Oh, come on. It's just a prank. I wanted to see how realistic I could make it. No one actually believed it, right?" She gestured to the room, expecting agreement. Instead, there was just more silence. And then, the worst part, the part that made my stomach twist. Someone whispered, it looked real. That was all it took. Doubt. Even if it was fake, even if she had truly just done this as a joke, she had planted something in everyone's minds. The image of her in that hotel room, looking at another man the way she used to look at me, it wouldn't fade. I took a step back, shaking my head. "I need air." Emily frowned. "Wait, babe, don't be like that." I turned and walked out of the bar before she could finish. The cold night air hit me like a shock, but it wasn't enough to clear my head. My thoughts were racing, looping over the same thing again and again. If it was just a joke, why did it feel like the beginning of the end? I walked aimlessly through the cold night air, my breath coming in uneven gasps. I wasn't sure how long I had been walking or where I was even going. All I knew was that I couldn't be in that bar a second longer. My mind replayed the scene over and over, like a cruel joke I couldn't escape. Emily's laughter. The way she beamed as if she had pulled off the prank of the century. The flickering expressions of our friends, shifting from amusement to discomfort. And worst of all, that one voice in the crowd, it looked real. That was what truly haunted me. It didn't matter if Emily had intended to cheat or not. It didn't matter if the whole thing was staged, if the man in the video was a paid actor, if the champagne bottle had never been opened. What mattered was the seed of doubt she had planted. The image of her in that hotel room, whispering to another man, would never leave me. And she thought it was funny. I stopped walking, leaning against a street lamp, trying to catch my breath. I pulled out my phone and saw the endless string of texts from Emily. "Emily, babe, where are you?" "Emily, seriously, come back inside." "Emily, oh my God, you're really doing this?" "Emily, are you seriously mad over a joke?" "Emily, stop being dramatic." "Emily, fine. Let me know when you're ready to stop sulking." My fingers hovered over the screen. A part of me wanted to call her, to demand an explanation, to make her understand how badly she had messed up. But another part of me, the part that was growing stronger by the second, knew it wouldn't matter. Emily didn't understand. She never had. I needed to talk to someone who actually gave a damn. Without thinking, I scrolled through my contacts and called the only person who might have some insight into what the hell just happened. Mark. He picked up on the second ring, his voice cautious. "Hey, man. I didn't waste time. Tell me the truth. Did Emily really stage that video?" There was a pause. Too long. My stomach tightened. "Mark," I said, my voice dangerously low. "Do not lie to me right now." He exhaled. "Look, I don't know what she told you, but yeah, it was staged." I clenched my jaw. "You swear?" "Yes," he said quickly. "Nothing happened. She just wanted to make it look real. Said it was supposed to be an experiment, to see how people reacted, to test how convincing she could be." My head spun. "An experiment?" Mark sighed. "I told her it was a bad idea, man. I told her you wouldn't take it well. But she kept saying it was all in good fun, that you'd laugh about it later." I let out a bitter laugh. "Yeah, hilarious. I'm serious, man. It was her idea. I barely even wanted to be involved. I believed him. But that didn't make it better. If anything, it made it worse. Because that meant Emily knew exactly what she was doing. She had carefully planned this, rented a hotel room, staged the scene, made sure the lighting was just right. She had gone to extreme lengths to make it believable. And not once had she stopped to consider what it would do to me. I let out a slow breath. "Thanks for telling me. You good?" Mark asked hesitantly. I almost laughed. Not even close. I hung up before he could say anything else. For a moment, I just stood there, my phone still clutched in my hand. The realization settled over me like a weight I could never lift. This wasn't just a prank that went too far. It was a glimpse into who Emily really was. And I wasn't sure I could ever look at her the same way again. I stood beneath the glow of a flickering street lamp, my phone still in my hand, my thoughts tangled in knots. Mark had confirmed it. The video was staged. No betrayal, no affair, just a carefully planned deception meant to provoke a reaction. But that didn't make it okay. In some ways, it made it worse. I had been sitting with the thought that maybe, just maybe, Emily had gotten carried away with a stupid joke. That maybe she had acted impulsively without thinking through the consequences. But no, she had planned this. She had thought it through. And she had done it anyway. I knew I had to go home eventually. I couldn't just wander the city all night. But the idea of facing her, of hearing her dismiss my feelings again, of seeing that infuriating smirk like I was overreacting, made my skin crawl. Still, I needed answers. So I went back. When I walked into our apartment, Emily was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone. She looked up immediately, her expression shifting from boredom to frustration. Finally, she said, standing up, "I was about to call you again. Are you done sulking?" The sheer casualness of her words sent a fresh wave of anger through me. "Emily," I said slowly, "do you even realize what you did?" She scoffed. "Oh my God, are we still talking about this?" I clenched my jaw. "Yes, because it's not a joke to me." She rolled her eyes. "Okay, fine. You're mad. I get it. But I seriously don't understand why you're acting like this is the end of the world." I stared at her. "Because you made a spectacle out of our marriage. You deliberately tried to humiliate me in front of everyone we know. And you enjoyed it." She crossed her arms. "I didn't enjoy it. I just thought it would be funny. You used to laugh at my jokes. What happened?" I let out a humorless laugh. "What happened? You escalated from pranking me with fake spiders to pretending to cheat on me in front of our entire friend group. That's what happened." Emily groaned, dragging a hand down her face. "You're making such a big deal out of nothing. It's not like I actually did anything." I exhaled sharply, trying to keep my voice steady. "That doesn't matter. The fact that you wanted people to think you did, that matters." She shook her head, exasperated. "You know what? If you weren't so insecure, this wouldn't even be an issue." I went still. Emily seemed to realize she had crossed a line, because she quickly added, "I didn't mean it like that. I just—" "No," I cut her off, my voice quiet. "You meant it exactly like that." Silence settled between us. For the first time, I wasn't just angry. I was tired. Tired of justifying my feelings. Tired of being treated like I was overreacting. Tired of being with someone who enjoyed seeing how far she could push me before I finally snapped. I ran a hand over my face, exhaling slowly. "I need some space." Emily frowned. "Oh, come on. You're not seriously, eh?" "I'm not leaving forever," I said, grabbing my keys. "But I am leaving for tonight. Because I can't do this right now." Her arms dropped to her sides, and for the first time, I saw something other than amusement or irritation in her eyes. I saw fear. But I didn't stay long enough to let it change my mind. I walked out the door. I didn't drive far. Just enough to get some distance, to think without Emily's dismissive words clouding my mind. I ended up in a quiet parking lot near the waterfront, the soft lapping of the waves the only sound filling the silence. I leaned back in my seat, gripping the steering wheel, letting my thoughts settle. Emily's reaction back at the apartment played over in my mind. She hadn't apologized. She hadn't even tried to understand why I was upset. Instead, she acted like I was being overly sensitive, as if my feelings were just another inconvenience for her to roll her eyes at. And the worst part? This wasn't the first time. I had ignored the signs for years, convincing myself that Emily's teasing was just her personality. That the way she poked at me in front of friends, the way she dismissed my concerns when I felt uncomfortable, was just harmless fun. But it wasn't harmless. Not when I was sitting here, alone, questioning if the person I had married even respected me. I sighed and pulled out my phone. I had one unread message. "Rachel, hey, I don't know what happened, but if you need to talk, I'm here." I hesitated for a moment, then called her. She picked up almost immediately. "All right, what's going on?" I let out a slow breath. "It's Emily. She pulled a prank tonight, and I don't know how to feel about it." I told her everything. The staged video, the way Emily had laughed, how she had refused to acknowledge why it hurt me. Rachel listened without interrupting, but I could hear her getting angrier by the second. When I finished, she let out a sharp breath. "Wow. Just, wow. That's a whole new level of messed up." I ran a hand down my face. "Yeah." Rachel was silent for a moment before she said, "Look, I know you probably don't want to hear this, but this isn't new. Emily's been doing stuff like this for years, just never this extreme. I frowned. What do you mean? She hesitated. I never wanted to interfere in your marriage, but I've seen the way she treats you. The way she makes fun of you in front of people, how she always has to be the center of attention. And every time you call her out, she flips it on you. Makes you the bad guy. That's not normal, bro. That's not love. I swallowed hard. You think she meant to hurt me? Rachel sighed. I don't know, but I do think she enjoyed seeing what she could get away with. And honestly, that's just as bad. I leaned back in my seat, staring at the roof of my car. Rachel's words hit something deep inside me, something I had been trying to ignore. She was right. Emily had spent years pushing boundaries, seeing how far she could go before I pushed back. And now? She had crossed a line I couldn't ignore. Rachel's voice softened. What are you going to do? I exhaled. I don't know yet, but I can't just pretend this never happened. And for the first time since I had walked out of that bar, I felt a strange sense of clarity. I wasn't overreacting. I wasn't crazy. And I wasn't going to let Emily convince me otherwise. I sat in my car for what felt like hours, staring at the dashboard, my mind still processing everything Rachel had said. She had confirmed something I had been afraid to admit. This wasn't just about one bad joke. It was about years of Emily pushing my limits, seeing how far she could go before I snapped. The truth was, I had been making excuses for her behavior for a long time. But now, there were no more excuses left. I wasn't sure how long I had been gone when I finally pulled back into our apartment parking lot. It was late, the streets quiet, the glow of the city casting long shadows against the pavement. My stomach churned as I stepped out of the car, knowing that whatever happened next, things would never be the same between me and Emily. I let myself in, half expecting her to be asleep, but she was still awake, curled up on the couch with her phone in her hands. When she saw me, she sat up, her expression unreadable. You're back, she said. I nodded, shutting the door behind me. There was a long silence before she finally spoke again. Are you done being mad? I stared at her, the sheer casualness of her words making my chest tighten. She still didn't get it. I took a slow breath, steadying myself. Emily, do you even understand why I left? She rolled her eyes. Because you overreacted to a joke? I clenched my jaw, forcing myself to stay calm. No, because what you did wasn't just a joke. It was humiliating. It made me question if I could even trust you. She scoffed. Trust me? Are you serious? You know nothing happened. The video was fake. That's not the point. My voice rose before I could stop it, frustration boiling over. I ran a hand through my hair, exhaling sharply. Emily, you wanted people to believe it was real. You wanted to see me react. That's not a prank. That's messing with our marriage just to see what would happen. She crossed her arms, looking irritated now. Oh, come on. If the roles were reversed, I wouldn't have freaked out like this. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Oh, really? If I made a fake video of me in a hotel room with another woman, showed it to all our friends, and then told you to lighten up, you wouldn't be upset? She hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. I shook my head. You wouldn't be laughing. You'd be hurt. You'd be furious. But when it happens to me, it's just a joke. Emily sighed heavily, like I was exhausting her. Okay, fine. Maybe I didn't think it through. But you're seriously going to hold this over my head forever? I swallowed hard. I don't want to hold it over your head. I just want to know that you actually care about how this made me feel. She shifted uncomfortably, picking at the hem of her shirt. Of course, I care. Then say you're sorry. She scoffed. Oh my God, are we really doing this? You know I didn't mean to hurt you. I nodded slowly, a strange numbness settling in my chest. That's what I thought. I turned toward the bedroom, not trusting myself to say anything else. Where are you going? She asked, her voice sharp. To sleep. She huffed. So that's it? You're just going to be mad at me forever? I didn't answer. Because I wasn't mad anymore. I was just done. I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing too fast to let me sleep. Emily was in the next room, probably scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened, probably waiting for me to get over it, like I always did. But this time, something was different. I wasn't just upset. I wasn't just angry. I was tired. For the first time, I wasn't trying to figure out how to fix things. I wasn't running through the usual mental gymnastics, convincing myself that Emily hadn't meant to hurt me. I was finally seeing things for what they were. And I couldn't unsee them. When the sun started creeping through the blinds, I knew I couldn't put this off any longer. I needed answers. And more than that, I needed to decide if this marriage was even worth saving. I got up, walked into the living room, and found Emily still on the couch. She must have fallen asleep there, her phone resting on her chest. As soon as I stepped closer, she stirred, blinking up at me. "You're up early," she mumbled, stretching. Then she frowned. "Wait, did you even sleep?" I shook my head. "We need to talk." She groaned, rubbing her temples. "Are we still on this?" I ignored that. "Why did you do it?" Emily sighed. "Do what, exactly?" I clenched my jaw, forcing myself to stay calm. "Why did you make that video? Why did you think it was funny?" She rolled her eyes. "I already told you. It was just supposed to be a prank, something fun to shake things up." "Shake what up?" I asked, genuinely curious now. "Were things boring for you? Were you trying to get a reaction out of me?" She hesitated, shifting slightly. "I mean, yeah, kind of." My stomach twisted. "So you wanted me to get upset?" Emily waved a hand dismissively. "Not upset, just... I don't know. I thought it would make things more exciting. You always act so serious, and I figured a little shock would, I don't know, get us out of a rut." I stared at her. "A rut?" She huffed. "Come on, you know what I mean. Every relationship gets stale. I just wanted to do something wild, something we'd laugh about later." I let out a slow breath, realization settling in. "You could have just talked to me, Emily. You could have told me how you were feeling. But instead, you decided to play some twisted game to see if you could shake me." Her expression hardened. "Oh, so now I'm the villain? You act like I cheated on you when I didn't even touch anyone." I shook my head. "It's not about that. It's about the fact that you thought humiliating me was a way to fix things." She crossed her arms. "Fine. Then what do you want?" "An apology." I studied her, searching for any real remorse. "Do you think you should apologize?" Emily let out a dramatic sigh. "If it'll make you feel better, fine." "I'm sorry." "Happy now?" The words felt empty, forced. She wasn't sorry for what she had done. She was sorry that I wasn't letting it go. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't something I could fix. I had spent years believing that if I just communicated better, if I just explained my feelings more clearly, Emily would eventually understand. But she didn't want to understand. She didn't see anything wrong with how she treated me. She never had. I nodded slowly. "Okay." Emily frowned. "Okay, what?" I exhaled. "Okay, I get it now." Her expression shifted. "Wait, what does that mean?" I didn't answer. I just turned and walked to the bedroom. Because I had made my decision. This marriage was over. I stood in the bedroom, staring at the open closet, my hands resting on my hips as I let everything sink in. This was it. The moment I had spent years unknowingly walking toward. The moment I finally accepted that Emily and I weren't just having a fight, we were fundamentally broken. I grabbed my duffel bag from the corner of the closet and started packing. Not in anger. Not in some dramatic, heat-of-the-moment decision. But in calm, quiet certainty. I wasn't staying. Not in this marriage. Not in this cycle of dismissiveness and manipulation. Emily's voice rang from the living room. "Are you seriously packing right now?" I kept folding my clothes. "Yeah." A pause. Then footsteps. She appeared in the doorway, her arms crossed. "So that's it? You're just leaving?" I met her gaze, my voice steady. "Yeah, I am." She scoffed. "Oh, come on. You're really gonna throw everything away over one bad joke?" I let out a slow breath, shaking my head. "Emily, it's not just about the joke. It's about everything that led up to it. It's about the way you treat me, the way you dismiss how I feel, the way you always have to push things just to see how much I'll take before I finally break." She rolled her eyes. "You're being so dramatic." I zipped up my bag. "No, I'm just done." For the first time, a flicker of something crossed her face. Panic. "Wait," she said quickly, stepping into the room. "Look, I get that you're mad, okay? I get that maybe I went too far. But we can talk about this." I slung the bag over my shoulder. "We did talk about it. And all you did was deflect, make excuses, and act like I was crazy for being upset." She swallowed hard. "I didn't mean to." "But you did," I interrupted, my voice quiet but firm. "And that's the problem. You never mean to, but you do it anyway. And you never care until you realize you might actually lose me." Her lips parted, but no words came out. For the first time in our relationship, she looked like she truly didn't know what to say. I walked past her, heading for the door. She followed. "So that's it?" she asked again, her voice thinner now, more desperate. "You're just giving up?" I turned to face her one last time. "No, Emily. I'm choosing myself for the first time in years." And with that, I walked out the door. Leaving wasn't easy, but it was the best decision I ever made. At first, Emily tried to act like she didn't care. I got texts like, "Emily, hope you're enjoying your dramatic exit. Emily, you'll come back when you realize you're being ridiculous." But when I didn't respond, the messages changed. "Emily, can we talk? Please? Emily, I didn't mean for things to go this far. Emily, just come home. Let's fix this." I never replied. I moved in with my sister for a while, focusing on rebuilding my life, on remembering what it felt like to be heard, to be respected, to not have to constantly justify why my feelings were valid. Months passed, and eventually, the text stopped. And then one day, I got the last message I'd ever received from Emily. "Emily, I guess you're really not coming back." She was right. I wasn't. I had finally learned my worth. And it felt damn good.